Ayandaba, 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 ayandaba. Ayandaba, 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 ayandaba. Asim ayandaba, 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 ayandaba. Wanam ayandaba, 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 ayandaba. Susu, baby, subramia. Baby, subramia. Suku, sunu, baby, subramia. Soko sunu baby subramia. Soko sunu baby subramia. Ejemo, anamana. Ejemeje, anamana. Wana mejemo, anamu. Para tuba jodiri chukuma tuku tuba jodiri ndemawo egu mawego. Para tuba jodiri chukuma tuku tuba jodiri ndemawo egu mawego. Obodo jisike nubo seruna. Oyibo.
It is everyone. Befere.
Ayandaba, 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 ayandaba. Ayandaba, 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 ayandaba. Asim ayandaba, 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 ayandaba. Wanam ayandaba, 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 ayandaba. Susu baby subramia. Suku sunu baby subramia. Suku sunu baby subramia. Suku sunu baby subramia.
Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes you just have to act like you are drunk, like you are crazy. Confuse your enemies. Confuse them.
Oboda say yeah we mo. Yeah we mo. Oboda say yeah we mo. No basa ye ga ponto mo iye de gugeme. Okwitara kara mi nguru ma mi ga kwuru mu gwo ya baby mo. Abe Maria.
How are you feeling?
Ayandaba, 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 ayandaba. Ayandaba, 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 ayandaba. Asim ayandaba, 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 ayandaba. Wanam ayandaba, 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 ayandaba. Susu baby subramia. Soko sunu baby subramia. Soko sunu baby subramia. Soko sunu baby subramia.
Ask what they for your brand yourself when I knew since I was born, but now I am getting youth. I gonna motan wakuna koga book.
And there it is right there, Eyendeba. So there it is right there, Eyendeba. So there it is, Eyendeba. So a short little session. So as you know, we are gradually reintroducing the afternoon sessions. So we have a short 2 hours or so afternoon session, and then we have a longer evening session where we are able to speak a bit more in an elongated manner. So that used to be the format. So we're reintroducing it now because the window for it has now opened. So we'll see how it goes. So this particular session, I've only just put it out, so I'm not expecting that that everybody will be on board. But nevertheless, it's just really to document some of the storylines that have been going on. So straight to it and immediately to it. The headline that we're leading with is bigger cargoes to berth at Onitsha port soon. So this is the narrative of the concessioning of the Onitsha seaport by the Buhari administration. So the Onitsha seaport, the Barrow seaport are on the way, and another seaport as well. So a lot of the narratives that we hear from the Southeast is to say that open up the waterways and then see how we thrive. So open up the waterways and see how we thrive. And it looks as though then the Aboki from Daura has decided to take up that challenge So he's now opening up that waterway. So now we'll see how they thrive. So open up the waterways and we see how they thrive. In the closing phase of the Buhari administration, he has been signing off and putting into law a plethora of policy positionings that will completely recalibrate the country. So he instituted that any incoming government, state or federal, has to assemble a team within 60 days. So that's now a matter of law. Which wasn't the case, by the way, when he came in, and it took half a year to assemble a team. But nevertheless, he has instituted that into law. He has uncoupled the electricity generation from a federal reserve to something that states can, from the exclusive list. So that's the term. So he has uncoupled the electricity space from the exclusive list to states being able to generate at their own independent sub level. So he did that. He has also signed into law an autonomous sort of financial system for the local government. So he did that. So now, the latest incursion, the latest intervention of the Mala from Daura is to now, this thing that the Southeasterners have been singing and dancing over for quite a long time now, he opens up that space. So bigger cargoes to berth at Onitsha port soon, federal government. So the concessioning of that thing has been done, a 30-year concession. Actually, let me not say too much until we get into the reading. So there is that. So we look into that. So we look into that. And then up next, we will look into this as well. So up next, we will look let's look at this as well. So up next, we'll look at this. Hold on, let me just see if that's the one I want to bring. Hold on. Let me just because you see, it has to be aligned in a particular sequence. So up next, we'll look at this as well. So this is still staying with the Mala from Daura. 2023 election, one of my proudest achievements as president. So this is Buhari. So I keep on bringing this sort of headlines, not really to be repetitive, but to let you, because these are smoke signals. What you are reading from this headline are smoke signals. So what Buhari is telling the Nigerian space is that the election that's just happened is his proudest legacy of his administration. So now, anybody that seeks to overturn that will try to overturn that off the backdrop of this headline that Buhari is putting out. So when I read this sort of headline, I don't read it as 2023 election is one of my proudest achievements as president, Buhari. I don't read it as that. I read it as a signal to anybody that is within any power position to do anything about the elections, to let it be. Leave it. This is a leave it alone signal that Buhari is sending. This is a leave it alone signal. 2023 elections, one of my proudest achievements as president. So it is the Mala from the north saying that, the Mala from Daura are saying that. So the Mala from Daura saying that to the Malabs from the Sahel region. So we step outside of Nigeria, but still having Nigeria in mind. Sudan conflict. 1,262 Nigerian students demand evacuation, 330 residents killed. So everything changes but remains the same. If you take this headline that you're seeing now and put yourself into a TARDIS, which is a time machine, put yourself into a TARDIS and travel back in time to 30, 40, 50 years, this will be the headline that you are reading still in any newspaper 40, 50 years ago. Sudan conflict, 1,200 Nigerian students demand evacuation, 330 residents killed. So remove the Nigerian element, but Sudan conflict, people killed, that has always been the backdrop of the African space. And we're in 2023 now, and the story has not really changed for half a decade or more now within the African space. It's still conflicts, it's still power men with power guns shooting them up and raping and pillaging. So it is still that jihadist sort of, especially in that Arabian influenced sort of African experience, jihadist mentality, it remains the same. It's the rule of the sword for the people of the Sahels. Sudan conflict, 1,262 Nigerian students demand evacuation, 330 residents killed. So that is the story of every day amongst those sort of people. So the story of every day amongst those sort of people. And now this is our final storyline now. So let me just remove this. And now this now last storyline now. So this last storyline, this is the narrative of the here and now within the Nigerian space. So this is the Nigeria as we know it now. Woman prays for newborn to be among those who use pen to embezzle Nigeria's money. And there's a video clip that goes with that. So this is now the prayer now. So once upon a time, it was a thing of shame for your family member to be caught up in some sort of financial scandal, especially if it's a government official. It was a thing of shame once upon a time. But now the thing of shame is if your family member has a government position and is not able to loot enough to bring sufficient enough into the family, then that is the thing of shame. So in some 30 years ago, your family member was shamed for looting 419 and Yahoo. But in the present here and now, if your family member has an opportunity to loot and it does not loot, that is the thing of shame. And that is all enraptured and encapsulated in this headline. Woman prays for newborn to be among those who use pen to embezzle Nigeria's money. So there's a video clip that goes with that. So we'll read the caption and then we'll watch the clip as well. So there it is right there. So there it is right there. So lean back, kick back, take it easy, relax into it. The usual protocol, click on the like button just as you're coming in. Click on subscribe if you haven't done that already. If you want to come join me on the screen, the hyperlink that says StreamYard is your open invitation. The invitation to buy your host cups of coffee ever present, and it's there on your screen. So do all those, and as you do all those, let me catch my breath with a short little musical clip, and then when we come back, we get into the readings.
Only water, where they see ma. Water,
only water, where they see ma.
Hapa o naido. Hapa you don't come o. Hapa o naido. Oro kẹ̀kẹ́ ẹlẹ́mù yé o. Ilé sọ́dí kẹ̀kẹ́ ẹlẹ́mù ré o. Bobby master kẹ̀kẹ́ ẹlẹ́mù ré o. Chief Wailati kẹ̀kẹ́ ẹlẹ́mù ré o. Eruku lẹ̀lẹ̀ ẹlẹ́mù dé. Eruku lẹ̀lẹ̀ ẹgbẹ́ ẹlẹ́mù dòde ojàre o. Eruku lẹ̀lẹ̀ Ghana ti dé ẹgbẹ́ bọ́dì o. Ọmọ ẹlẹ́yẹ ẹyẹ o ó dilé o. Odúyẹ̀lá ẹyẹ o ó dilé o. Petrosoname ẹyẹ o ó dilé o. Petrosodúnkẹ́ ẹyẹ rẹ̀ ó dilé o. Ẹlẹ́kọ̀ ọ̀run mú ìní o. Àkùkọ ọ̀run méjìkọ. Ikú kò ní ríwà gbéṣe o.
And there it is right there. Iku kò ní ríwà gbéṣe, may death have nothing to do with us. So let me remove that from the screen just to give you a bit of more visibility. Let me remove that from the screen. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. I wanted to do, just give me one moment, just to make it the best viewing experience possible. So there it is right there. So Ikuko Niriwa may death have nothing to do with us. So I bring you this. Bigger cargoes to berth at Onitsha port soon at the federal government. Economic activities will soon increase at the concessioned Onitsha River port in Anambra State as the federal government on Thursday said that big cargoes will soon berth at the port. So, just off the back of that first paragraph, that is quite a seismic move. That's quite a seismic move for the Southeast. So Buhari is anti-Igbo. Buhari is anti-Igbo. Is an Igbo hater. He has built the second Niger bridge, which is going to that's a $2 billion per annum economy, right? Just that one bridge, because of the traffic, the flow of traffic of commerce and the ease of traffic of commerce between the Southeast and the rest of the country. That's a 2 billion economy right there, that second Niger bridge. So now, having now done that, Buhari has now concessioned the Onitsha River port for it to be active, not only for it to be active, to take big cargoes as well. So no longer, we all know that the backdrop, the mainstay of the Southeast economy is the container economy, import and export. So now all of the expenses of having your goods berthed at Apapa to then transport it all the way through to your homestead, that is now removed. Let's pick it from the top of it again. Economic activities will soon increase at the concessioned Onitsha River Port in Anambra State as the federal government on Thursday said that big cargoes will soon berth at the port. The managing director, National Inland Waterways Authority, Chief George Mogalu, made the disclosure while speaking with State House correspondents after meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari at the presidential villa in Abuja. Fielding questions from journalists on the agenda of his meeting with the president, Chief Mogalu simply said that the visit was a private one. He said that discussions were ongoing for the concession of Barrow Port as well as the Oguta and Lokoja ports that are still under construction in order to reduce pressure from the government. So pressure from the government should really be pressure on the government. According to him, for Onitsha River Port, we have successfully concessioned and handed over to Universal Elysium. It is a company that is partnering with the port in Antwerp for the next 30 years. So now, we don't know who Universal Elysium is, so I'm hopeful that that is an indigenous company, but we do know that Antwerp is in Germany, not in Germany, but in Belgium. We do know that Antwerp is in Belgium. So this is a partnership, a Belgium, hopefully indigenous partnership that has taken concession of that Onitsha River Port now. And they've already told us that big vessels will now be able to berth there. So now, open up the Southeast, open up the Southeast. The Southeast has been opened up with the second Niger Bridge and the seaports now being concessioned. So that talk now, it's been brought to an end. Unless people are just wanting to just hibernate and agitate within a set mindset. All of that are open up the Southeast, as that question has been answered with those two spaces. Now, because of limited resources and to reduce pressure on government, we opened up discussion with other interested organizations. Unsolicited proposals have come for the concessioning of Barrow, for the concessioning of Oguta and Lokoja, those still under construction. So we are discussing with them. The advantage here is that it will reduce pressure from government. These people own this port, complete the port, put the port to use, and pay royalty to the government. So it has a lot of advantage, and we are working conscientiously on that. Before I came into office, Oguta River Port was not on the budget for quite a while, but we eventually brought it back to the budget. As we speak, we finished fencing the Oguta River Port, and we are doing little by little, depending on resources available, to put in place some basic infrastructure that will be required for the port to operate. Same is applicable to Lokoja. So we are taking it from two perspectives: completing the building by government and concession. So we're taking it from two perspectives: completing the building by government and concession, or concession it so that the new concessionaire can complete the port and put it to effective use. Asked when big ships are expected to berth on Onitsha port, he said, very soon. What I did before the concession was that I was able to do a test run, move cargo between One and Onitsha, and now we are concluding movement of cargo from Lagos to Onitsha, and that will be a clincher as far as I am concerned. So that last paragraph is quite instructive as well. So the what are the things that we do know? We know that the Onitsha port has been completed and has been concessioned. We know that. We know that the Onitsha port has been dredged to facilitate for big ships. We know that. We know that the minister in charge has done a test run to see that if it is fit for purpose. We know that. We know that the Onitsha market now has been concessioned on a 30-year lease to a Belgium, hopefully Nigerian partnership. We know that, but we don't know the Nigerian aspect, but we know that it has been concessioned. We know that. And we also know now from this last paragraph that even if big ships come into Lagos, they can quickly hop round, having discharged in Lagos, to go on further to Onitsha to discharge for the cargoes meant for the southeast. We know that. So the southeast has now been opened for business. The second Niger Bridge, the Onitsha Seaport, the Barrow Seaport, which I suspect might be in the southeast as well, the Oguta Seaport, the southeast has been opened for business. So no more language of no federal presence. Because one of the biggest projects, in fact, the biggest project of this Buhari administration has been that second Niger Bridge. So no more narratives of the southeast not having federal presence. So no more narrative of the southeast not having federal presence. So let's go on from that to this. So let's bring this up. All right, so we leave Nigeria for a moment, but only really still having Nigeria in mind. Sudan conflict, 1,262 Nigerian students demand ever... hold on, where's my cursor? You know how it is when you are swiveling your mouse and the cursor is not showing. So there it is. So Sudan conflict, 1,262 Nigerian students demand evacuation, 330 residents killed. So everything changes but remains the same. And Africa, especially Black Africa, seem to be stagnated in some jihadist time warp. Nigerian students numbering over 1,262. Was that the figure they gave us in the headline? Yes. Nigerian students numbering over 1,262 have appealed to the federal government to evacuate them from the Republic of Sudan, where a fierce military conversation, not conversation, or if only it was a conversation. Nigerian students numbering over 1,262 have appealed to the federal government to evacuate them from the Republic of Sudan, where a fierce military confrontation between the Sudanese armed forces and the paramilitary group Rapid Support Force has claimed 330 lives, with 3,200 injured. The Secretary General of the National Association of Nigerian Students Sudan, Adam Mohammed, who said this in an interview with correspondents on Thursday, lamented that many students had run out of food. So why would a Nigerian student even be in Sudan is the question. What sort of learning or education do they have in Sudan? So I suspect that this is some religious something, I suspect. What education? Who has a, even the Sudanese, nobody can read or write there. So how would a Nigerian student be there? The clashes had also displaced thousands of civilians who fled to the capital Khartoum, even as some foreign nations, including Japan, Uganda, and Tanzania, had begun evacuating their nationals as the violence, which started on April the 8th, entered its 12th day on Thursday. Until recently, the Sudanese armed forces, led by General Abdel al-Bahan and the RSF paramilitia group, headed by General Mohamed Dagolo, were allies. They worked together in 2019 in a popular uprising that overthrew Sudan's brutal dictator, Omar al-Bashir, who ruled the country for 3 decades. After the coup, a power-sharing government was formed, made up of civilian and military groups. The plan was for the interim government to rule Sudan for a few years and oversee a transition to civilian administration. But in 2021, al-Bahan, who had become chief of Power Sharing Council, dissolved it, declaring he instead holds declaring he would instead hold elections in 2023. The current fighting broke out between the army and the RSF as a result of failed negotiations over integrating the two forces ahead of the intended restoration of civilian rule. There was disagreement over which general would be subordinate to the other and how quickly the RSF will be incorporated into the Sudanese military. Heavy fighting broke out on April the 8th, with cities like Khartoum and Obram being turned into battlefield. Though 2 ceasefires were agreed upon by the warring factions, both failed to stop the violence. However, speaking with our correspondents on Thursday, the Secretary General and Nigerian Students Association in Sudan, Mohammed, said no student had been hurt in the course of the war, but he lamented that students were experiencing food shortage, electricity outage, and telecommunications blackout. So I'm not quite sure. Oh, hold on. So I'm not quite sure why he's asking the Nigerian government to come to their rescue. So it's telling us that no student has been hurt. So if students were hurt, then immediately sending a fleet of planes to go and get them out. So it says no students have been hurt in the course of the war, but it lamented that the students were experiencing food shortage, electricity outage, and telecommunications blackout. So I'm not sure, because the student in Unilag, that is his experience. So the student in Ahmadu Bello University, that is his experience. The student in Onitsha University, that is his experience. Food shortage, electricity outage, and telecommunications blackout. So if they go and rescue them on the basis of that, then they have to go into every university in Nigeria and rescue the student on the basis of that too, because that is their lived experience too. Mohammed disclosed that he had written to the federal government about their situation, adding that moves to evacuate the stranded citizens was in top gear. He further revealed that 1,262 Nigerian students had filed or filled the evacuation form as of Wednesday night. So I guess this is Abike Dabiri. I think I'll leave it there actually. I'll give you just 2 more paragraphs or 3 more paragraphs and think it there. So I think this is Abike Dabiri's area, isn't it? The Secretary General said, so this is the Nigerian Embassy. The Secretary General said, everything is under control because the Nigerian Embassy in Sudan has spoken to the Nigerian government and preparations are ongoing. The Nigerian government is trying to send in planes to evacuate Nigerian students from Sudan. Also, the members of the Parent Guardian Association of Nigerians whose children or wards are schooling in Sudan has spoken to the chairman of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri Arewa, to assist in the evacuation of Nigerian students. In summary, the situation concerning the Nigerian students here are under control. Presently, none of the Nigerian students in Sudan is hurt because everyone is indoors and they have all cooperated with us. So far, no lights, water, bad telecom network, and some students have been complaining of no food and they cannot go out to restock. The current number of Nigerian students that filled their forms as of last night that are ready for evacuation is 1,262. So there it is right there. Nigerian students caught in the crossfire of the never-ending saga that is the Sudanese war. There was never a point in time in history that goings on was not going on right there. So there it is right there. So Sudan, in fact, I'm not even sure why this still makes the news. When was there a time in history that there was not some sort of conflict in the Sudan? So some sort of conflict in the Sudan. So now I'm bringing you this headline. You might well think we talk about this almost on a daily basis, but it's pertinent to the goings on in Nigeria. But this is Buhari now speaking, and what I'm reading into this headline is "Leave it alone." This is my exit golden achievement. Leave it alone is what the Mala from Daura is saying. 2023 elections, one of my proudest achievements as president, our lanky man from Daura, Malam Buhari. President Muhammadu Buhari has said that the peaceful outcome of the 2023 general election will go down on record as one of the proudest achievements of my administration, in addition to our neutrality in the conduct of the election. In his goodwill message to Muslims on the occasion of the Eid al-Fitr celebration to mark the end of the Ramadan fasting, President Buhari explained, the outcome of the elections were in line with my pledge to leave a legacy of free and fair elections. I am proud that I have created a level playing field for all contestants, regardless of party affiliation, in order to produce a fair outcome for all. According to the president, free and fair elections are the only principles that give credibility to our democracy, because the subversion of the will of the people undermines democracy itself. The elections were so transparent that even members of my own party were routed and unseated. At no point did I interfere with the process in order to give unfair advantage to anyone, the president added. On the Ramadan fasting, President Buhari congratulated Muslims on successfully completing this demanding spiritual obligation, whilst praying to Allah to reward the Muslims for their sacrifices during the fasting season. President Buhari advised that we should not forget the important lessons of the Ramadan, which includes improving our bond with the underprivileged and poor members of society. According to him, abstention from food and drink during the fasting period had made it possible for us to appreciate the situation of those who go without eating every day. So this is signed off by Garba Shehu, of course. So Garba Shehu, the official voice of our friend from Daura, Malam Buhari. So our friend from Daura, Malam Buhari. So now this is now the last readout, and then we see who is available to take it on. So this is a short readout now, but then it comes with a video clip, but let's see it. Woman prays for newborn to be among those who use pen to embezzle Nigeria's money. So this is now the narrative of the Nigeria of here and now. A video shared online shows a woman saying an unusual prayer to a newborn. A naming ceremony for the baby was underway when the woman saying the prayer placed a pen in the baby's hand. She then prayed that baby Akorede's, she then prayed that baby Akorede's name will be written amongst those who use pen to embezzle Nigeria's funds. The prayer has raised eyebrows and led to a conversation about how corruption has become acceptable in Nigeria. So here are just some of the feedbacks to that. So official Lolo says, nothing is normal anymore. I don't even know how to react. What do you think? So this is Chomiz, someone should translate, please. So I think the lady must have spoken in Yoruba. Woman mentioned the baby's name and placed a biro in the baby's hand, and she claimed to be praying for the baby. She said, in Nigeria, amongst those that will use biro to chop Nigeria's money, heavens will write his name. So that's now the prayer of Nigeria now. So is either a looting politician or a thieving pastor? Those are the only prayers now going on in Nigeria. Larry Large, what nonsense. This is why I always say people that this is why I always say to people that change starts with individual. Until someone's mindset is oriented, the Niger no go better, no because rubbish. So that is what Larry has to say. So Kenny G, the woman started causing this baby at an early stage of his life. They need find this woman and arrest her. So on what basis would they arrest her? It's just the casual use of that term. Arrest him, arrest her. On what basis would they arrest the woman that she's praying an unusual prayer for a child, and then they should go and throw her in kirikiri? So brainless Kenny G, that is what he has to say. Another contributor, and the mother of that baby is there saying amen. God give us wisdom as mothers. So this is Femi saying, what? Now must be skit now. So he doesn't believe. So incredulous is he. This is Joker Towers. Really, corruption are sitting deep into this mama's core. God doesn't answer this kind of prayer. Oh, so this is Sashigo. Shall not be well with this woman. So this one starts with a curse. So on and on, all in that vein. So let's come into the room then, see if there's anyone there to take it on. So let's come into the room. We have Has Valiant joining us, otherwise known as Hassan, and the majestic Ajanle Koko in the house as well. So let's kick it off then with Has Valiant. Good to see you, my man. How are you?
How are you? Barka da Sallah, everybody.
Yeah, well done. You've come out on the other hand. So have you bought your goat? What are you ready?
Oh, this is not the goat or ram sallah. This is more like the chicken and just enjoyment sallah.
Okay, jollof rice sallah.
Yes.
All right, that's good. Well done.
Thank you.
I hope your prayers will be granted by Allah.
Amen.
So there it is. Well done. So there's a son.
Yeah. One man. Can you, Hassan? How are you? Good morning.
Good afternoon from here, Adali Koko.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, can you let me go first? Because I'll soon get to somewhere I won't be able to speak.
No problem. Go straight ahead.
Yeah. All right, Hassan. Let's concede to Ajanle Koko. So Ajanle Koko, immediately to you then. So the concept, because Buhari, we are still consumed by the P2B, Tinubu, and we are so consumed by all of that. we're not actually taking cognizance of some of the very big moves that Buhari has been making in the course of these elections. We know those 16 laws that he instituted, freeing up the electricity space, giving autonomy to local governments, etc. But now, this new one the concessioning of Onitsha, a seaport for 30 years, which is ready for activities immediately now. It has been test run. So now, this is a big move. A lot of the Southeasterners, this has been one of their echo chamber cry tools that open us up seaports and give us traffic into the rest of the country. So that has been done, Ajadle Koko.
Yeah, greetings to our listeners around the world. Click on the like button, share and subscribe if you haven't done so. It's a good move. It's this is long been waited for by the people and government in Southeast. I think if it is well implemented, I think it will open up the Southeast for business. It will attract investors to come in there and, put in investment there that could generate economic growth. And Nigeria at large will benefit from it too. It's not only the Southeast that will benefit from it. Nigerians across the country that want to do one business or the other in Southeast can benefit. They can import stuff from Nigeria, from any part of Nigeria, and then ship it to Southeast where they have a market or one thing or the other. So it's a good move, but politicians sometimes they can come out with a very laudable program or something as good as this, but the implementation will be poorly managed, and it won't affect that economic benefit that is expected to to achieve. So, but
Ajale Koko, sorry, Ajale Koko, that might not be the case in this instance because they've concessioned it to private enterprise, and it is the business of private enterprise to make money. So they are going to ensure that it does work. Otherwise, what's if they abandon it, then they are still forced to pay royalty to the government. So it is in the interest of private enterprise to make sure that seaport works. So that almost suggests that's something that will work.
That is good, since it's been concession. They have given concession to private enterprise, to manage. But one thing that is very important to make it succeed is security. Government have to facilitate, security of the place. They have to ensure that they put in place security in the east, particularly in that Onitsha area. I think Onitsha is in Anambra State. So Anambra State is one of the most ravaged states by the what do you call those people? The armed bandits in the east. So the government have to come in and make sure that they put security in place so that the private investor, can have that peace of mind, to put in their investment there. Because if their security is not put in place, it's going to be very difficult for investors to go in there and put their money and invest there. So government still have a lot to do, and the people as well, the governor of the state, have to work hard as well in partnering with federal government in the area of security and creating by putting in place security there, that will create an enabling environment for investors, to quickly move in and then put in their investment. So security is the key to economic growth. So and in Nigeria as a whole as well, security is the key to economic growth. There's no amount of infrastructure or anything that you put in place if you don't have security to manage it or to guarantee peace and tranquility in that place. Investors will run away. So government have a big important role to play in the area of security so that foreign investors can move in. Because this building of port, it cannot be done by indigenous business people. It's the foreign investor that will come in and put in their technical skill, build, and every machinery to facilitate a modern port to operate. It's the foreigner that will do this thing, and we have to put in place a good security that will guarantee their safety so that they can come in with peace of mind and have that confidence that their money will be safe and everything they are putting into that place will be safe, to guarantee their own return as well. So government have a role to play in the area of security for this program or this how do I call it for this
Adale Koko, if we look back to history to the Buhari administration and we set aside his Fulanization and Jam Jaweed ways, is he going to be looked back in history as a legacy administration? Because if you set aside his brutish sort of ways and his ethnic leanings, this guy has look, the Lagos Ibadan rail service, he built that. The Lagos Ibadan Expressway, he built that. The second Niger Bridge, he built that. A vast swathe of roads in the north, he built that. The Fulani Railway that he did for his own people. But now this concessioning, the opening, this might well be a legacy presidency if we set aside the brutalization and Fulanization undertone.
I think Buhari will be remembered for some certain projects that he's been able to manage in terms of infrastructure, some of which you just mentioned now. He'll be remembered for that. That on the good side, he'll be remembered for that, for Ibadan Expressway, for railway from Lagos to Ibadan, and all this Odisha. I mean, what do you call that? Fourth Mainland Bridge and all the. I mean, sorry, second Niger Bridge and all. Yes, he'll be remembered for that. But Buhari will have done more. He had for 8 years. I think he should have done more. If all
you know, he had no money throughout his 8-year administration. All was at a record low. He contended with insurgency and C19, two or three recessions, all of that.
Look, let me tell you this. I think the problem that Buhari has is that Buhari is not an administrator, is not a manager, and is not a person that can pursue that check on people that he gives authority to manage things. That is the defective side of Buhari as a person, I mean, as a leader. So if he had been an astute administrator, the person that want to follow things by himself to a logical conclusion and to achieve success, maybe he will have achieved more. He will have fired a lot of people. He will have brought in people that are ready to work. But Buhari is kind of a lay-back man. When he gives people job, he doesn't monitor you. I think he have a lot of trust on people. I think that is his nature. If he just delegate responsibility and go back to sleep and just wait for them to come and lie, to come and tell him, oh, Ogadi is what we have done. and they will pursue it to check after what they said, to confirm if what they said they have done, if they have actually done it, and if actually achieving this the desired purpose. So that is the problem I think Buhari personality represent. If Buhari have done so much, he was able to get a lot of loan from international financial institutions around the world, from China, from IMF, from World Bank, from European,
Even from the Middle East, a lot of
from the Middle East.
projects were
How
done
much?
with Sukuk
Yes,
money. Yeah.
to cook money. How much are they able to do with the money? That is the problem. If we want to, check the
Well, 40%
money,
of it was looted by Abubakar Malami now. So yeah.
I mean, all of them, they were just looting, and that is the problem. This man will have achieved more if these people are so sincere with him, if he have had people that are credible around him, that are ready to work for the interest of the nation and not for their own pocket. I think it will have achieved more. All this new reform that is rolling out at the end of the day, this is what they should have done in the first term of its administration. This new constitutional reform that is doing, it will have, because they dominated the National Assembly. So it should have rolled out all this reform, and by now all this reform will have been implemented, and it will have take us to the change that he promised Nigeria. So that is the problem with Buhari. But Buhari will be remembered for some of those projects. But all these projects that he did in terms of infrastructure, the fact that Buhari failed in the area of economy, the fact that Buhari have not even given us the security that he promised us, the fact that Buhari, did not brought the fact that Buhari have increased the rate of poverty in Nigeria to multi-dimensional poverty that we never seen in the history of that country. All those things, all these, bad thing that his governance brought on us will overshadow all the good thing that he did. And that is the problem with Buhari. The insecurity problem have not improved. The economy has been battered. The people have gone down more into poverty, and serious poverty. And it just like Nigerians don't even see future in themselves, in their country. And that is why you see a lot of Nigerians running out from the country. Workers are running out, professionals from different walk of life are running out from Nigeria, because Nigeria doesn't represent a good future for them. So only the politicians that you see that are striving and doing good in that country. So that is the problem that we have, one man. So Buhari, I think with all the good intention he had, unfortunately, he doesn't have the right people around him to help him succeed, and that will overshadow the bad governance that he brought. Will overshadow the little.
It will be interesting to see how history judges Buhari. Are they going to judge him on the basis of the Fulani headsmen that came all over Yoruba land slaughtering people, or are they going to judge him on his infrastructural legacy? So how history remembers this guy will be interesting, but we need him to be out of power in order then to reflect on just how we are going to judge him. I don't think they're going to see him on the Obasanjo, even Babangida level, because Babangida did a lot of infrastructural work. But I think I'm not quite sure they will see him as Abacha, but he'll be in that more Abacha, but slightly better sort of. How do you think history will remember him? For the Fulani headsmen slaughtering, or the infrastructural legacy?
Let me tell you one more. The basic responsibility of every government is to guarantee security of life and property and welfare of the people. Buhari failed in entirety in that, the basic responsibility of government. And that is what people will remember him for. All this infrastructure and all the rest, it doesn't, I mean, it's good, but people will not, when people cannot live peacefully in their country, when people cannot achieve prosperity in their country under a particular leadership, people will remember that leader as a failure. So that is what Buhari will be for an ordinary man on the street. That is what he will be remembered for. But it's me and you that are educated, that are looking at this, with a different, from a different perspective, that we say, oh, it was able to put port at Lagos, it was able to do this road, it was able to do that. But the basic responsibility of a government, which it did not achieve well for Nigerian people will regard him, his administration, rather, as a failure. So there's no way you can describe it. Food, food price is skyrocketed to the high heaven. Basic food that Nigerians eat at ease is unreachable to them again now. And what are we talking about? Nigerians are afraid to travel from one part of the country because of the fear that they might be kidnapped. And these are the responsibility of government. It failed. So that is what we will remember for. So all these things that is trying to do, it is good. But I think with the promise of change that he promised Nigeria, and so much belief that Nigeria had in him when he was promising Nigerians, with that belief that he will achieve it, and the vote given to him to achieve, which he failed for almost 8 years, but only at the end of the day, almost to wind down, is now doing some constitutional changes to say people can generate electricity, people can do, state can generate electricity, state can have their own police and all the rest. This should have been done from the beginning of the administration. So another administration that will be coming, if possible, they are able to follow up of what this man have done. And if it comes to success, those are the ones that will take the glory of all these things that is rolling out at the dime minute now. But in overall, it will be remembered as a failure because it failed to guarantee security of life and property, and it failed to give Nigerians that welfare that Nigerian people deserve in terms of good governance, in terms of good government, for their economic well-being. It failed. So.
All right. Thank you, Ajale Koko. So, Ajale Koko, a brief commentary on this. Sudan conflict, 1,262 Nigerian students demand evacuation, 330 residents killed. So everything changes but remains the same. I was just saying in my opening phase that if you go back 20 years, 30 years, 40 years and read the headline in any newspaper, it will be Sudan aflame. So it looks like when are they ever going to get out of that situation? And also, what are Nigerian students even doing in a backward space like Sudan? So just a brief thoughts on those, Ajanle Koko.
One man. Look, I believe those Nigerian students, government should do whatever they can do to take them out of that place, because it doesn't look like the war will come to an end very soon, because this is a war between the military themselves. So it's going to worsen. The paramilitary group that doesn't want to surrender to the main military leadership in the country. So that is They have to do everything that they have to do. I believe most of them, those students over there, most of them might be there for maybe Islamic studies and some other studies. I don't know, but I know that to us, we
You know that one of the first universities in Africa was actually built in Khartoum.
Okay, yeah.
If
So
not the first in West Africa, actually,
is it not Islamic university or what for?
Well, I'm not sure.
Western education.
No, it's not Western education. The syllabus
so
will be
Islamic
Arabic,
studies.
but it's not. I don't think it was. I think it was religion, philosophy.
One man.
Yes.
One man. It's not true. What you are saying is not true.
What's not true?
It's not an Islamic university.
No, that's what I
And
said.
then you said that Nigerian students don't know what they are doing there.
Can you hold on? Because you are correcting me on something that I did not. I said Ajanle Koko said this, and I said it's not necessary. I said it's
Anyway, so Nigerians should.
Also, you are not correcting me because I was corrected Ajanle Koko, but carry on Ajanle Koko.
Yeah, no. What I'm saying, that's my own opinion. It might not be right. I'm saying most Nigerian students there, they might be for maybe Islamic studies, because I don't know what Nigerians want to go and study in Khartoum. So, but I might be wrong. I might not be right, so I might be wrong. So, but Nigerians should do everything to take this our children out. I mean, the war is not going to it's not going to end very soon. It's so tragic that we are seeing war in every place in Africa. It's just, but you know, one thing we were discussing about Ukraine yesterday. This is one thing I don't understand Nigerian state, particularly people in the foreign department of Nigeria, this foreign affairs. You see, what we have foreign affairs for is to promote Nigerian interests, at the same time watches international events, and wherever they see that, in any country, wherever they know there's going to be problem, it's for them to do as quick as possible to see how they can advise the government to evacuate their citizens out of the country for safety. So, but we don't know. Why must it degenerate and they fail, to do anything earlier until they get into this situation? So, but a lot can still be done. Maybe they can get them out as quick as possible. Let me leave it there, woman. Thank you.
All right, brilliant. Ajanle Koko, let me play you this clip and then a very brief commentary on this, and I'll go on to Hassan. Hassan, did you want to come in on what Ajanle Koko said? I saw you on mute.
Yes. I wanted to talk about the kind of education our people go to get in Sudan. Sudan may be an Arabic country, they speak Arabic, but they have very, very good universities. Western education, especially. I know of. I have a cousin who's still there and he's studying medicine. He's in his last year now. So it's not for the Arabic, although people still go there to learn Arabic, but their universities. You know how our universities are just so bad. So people from the north usually, want to take advantage of their good universities, and at the same time people can study Arabic and all those things. So it's the Western education that takes our people there. They have a very, very good educational system. That's just what I wanted him to know.
What language do they use for the education in Sudan?
English. Most of their universities they teach in English.
Is it not a French-speaking country?
No, it's not. The Sudan was colonized by the British, by the English.
Oh, all
yeah,
right,
but it's an Arabic country, so when they left, they just switched to continue speaking Arabic. But of course, because the people are educated in English, their universities are very good, actually.
All right, Braden, that's good to know. So, Ajanle Koko, let me play you this clip, a very brief commentary on it, then I'll go on to Hassan. Watch this.
Lórílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà nínú àwọn tí wọ́n máa ti báyìí kówó Nàìjíríà jẹ orúkọ rẹ̀ mọ̀ ẹ bá ṣàmì dáadáa ẹ tún bá mi ṣàmì dáadáa ọmọ yìí bá di gómìnà kò léwọ tó bá di sẹ́nítọ̀ kò léwọ nínú àwọn tí wọ́n máa fọwọ́ báyìí kówó Nàìjíríà jẹ láti òní lọ péré ní orúkọ.
So, for the benefit of people who don't understand the Yoruba language, That preacher woman preaching for the newborn baby places a biro, a pen in the baby's hand, and she goes on to pray that amongst the people that are using the pen to loot Nigeria's resources, may God grant you the grace to be amongst them. So the prayer from birth for that Nigerian child is for him to grow up to be a looter. Ajanle Koko, is this where we are now?
It is shocking that this moral decadence that we are witnessing in Nigeria has even gone down to the religious places. This is unfortunate. This is unbelievable. But I don't know whether it is still managed because I don't see the face of a baby. Yeah, we saw the camera showing some people standing and all of them saying "Ami, Ami, Ami," saying it in Yoruba, prayer in Yoruba. But I don't think a normal person will offer that kind of prayer on a newborn baby in the public.
But is that not the reality of Nigeria now, though? Because with every parent, not every parent, but some parents supporting and encouraging their children to be Yahoo boys and armed robbers, etc. So long as the money comes in.
It is bad, and it just tells us that we are criminally minded people. And when you have a country where the people in the country are criminally minded people, I don't know how that country will succeed. So the leadership they have that we complain of, they are they actually represent what we are. They actually represent what we are. So we can blame them to heaven, but I mean, on our own side, are we good people too? Are we good people? No, we are not. We don't vote for the right candidate. We want to collect money from politicians before we can vote for them. We vote for wrong people, even if it is clear that this guy is a criminal, is a bad person. But as long as he can bring money and bribe people, people will vote for him. It's unfortunate. This guy this LDP guy, the Adewale, he said something recently, and I almost wept when he said it, that in his community, he gives them scholarship, 2,000 people, maybe 2,000 people every year in that community. Scholarship for 2,000 students every year. He didn't get 2,000 votes. He didn't get maybe 200 votes. That is saddening. When I listen, I say, what have we become? How are you? What have we become as people that you cannot even appreciate? People or someone that's been good to you. When it comes to election, you can't even give back to that person that's giving so much to your community. It is just shameful. I mean, we are bad people, man. I am telling you. So this video that you just showed us, it is unfortunate. I still don't want to believe that it actually happened. It looked to me that it's they managed for social media
Traffic.
Traffic. So that is the way I see it. I don't think any adult in Yoruba land, any reasonable, mentally upright person would do that kind of prayer in the public. Be praying on a little kid, praying for that little kid to grow up and be governor and
loot money.
And loot money. I can't believe that is not a prayer. That is not a prayer. That is that woman is cursing that child. So is causing that child. It's raining a serious cause on that child. So I hope people can investigate this and tell us the true position of things. I still can't believe it. It could be true, but I still can't believe it. It's unbelievable. It's sad that we can go too low like this. So let me leave it there, one man. Thank you.
All right, brilliant. Unfortunately, we've lost Hassan. Okay, I think he's actually back now. So brilliant. So let's go straight then to the mighty Hassan who joins us. So Hassan, you're up next. Let me actually start you off from where I started Janle Koko off. And I was just saying that because of all of the noise of the aftermath of the politics, we are missing some of the things that Buhari has been doing in the last minute. So they have completed dry run and tested the Onitsha River Port, and they have now concessioned it for 30 years. So that's a big move now to open up the southeast. And if you add on to onto that the completion of the second Niger bridge, then really Buhari should be a deity to be worshipped in the southeast. Hassan.
Yes, thank you very much once again. I have to say I'm happy today that this program is airing in a very conducive time for me. I think one man, you are always targeting people that are in America. That is why when I join the program, most of the time it takes me too deep into the night and early mornings. However, as regards to Buhari and what he has done for the Southeast, I think Buhari's government has tried a lot in terms of infrastructure. And I heard what Ajani Koko talked about the legacy of Buhari as someone that will be remembered for bringing a lot of misery and a lot of poverty. I agree with that point, really. However, as regards these things that have been done now, Ajali Koko said this is something that should have been done earlier with having the majority in parliament and all that. However, I still think these things are necessary because you better start right now that you have the opportunity. Somebody will build upon it. And you see the kind of infrastructure that we are getting, they are really, really bringing us back into the centuries that we are living in. Yes, I agree that the security situation is not where we want, but especially for me, I've got to speak my truth as somebody who has lived in the northeast most of his life, especially as regards Boko Haram. The truth is, Buhari has done very, very well, very, very well as far as Boko Haram is concerned. You would recall that Shekau died, and there are a lot of repentant Boko Haramis that are coming back. If you monitor the news, you notice that for the past 5 years, the frequency of Boko Haram attack has gone down significantly. At least for us down here, we can sleep with our two eyes closed. We can travel within the region, and we don't have that level of insecurity that we used to have previous years. And one thing that I would say that has brought about this change is the fact that Nigerians, at the tip of the spear of the Nigerian army, they are here deployed. Most of them, I would say, like 50% to 60% of Nigeria's army and her resources are now in the northeast, and that is why we have seen the progress that we made. However, what is happening in the northwest with the Fulani herdsmen and all that, I think it's a problem. It's a decade-watch problem that just happened to explode during Buhari's tenure. You see, the Nigerian army is so understaffed that they cannot afford, to fight 2-3 insurgencies at the same time. Most of the assets of the Nigerian army, the Nigerian Air Force, and the Nigerian Navy, except for the Navy, Army and Air Force, all their assets are here in the northeast. So they cannot confront the Fulani herdsmen with, the the decisive and effective way, because they are already, extended all over the northeast. That is why. So and at the same time, they cannot confront, fringe groups like IPOB and all that, because they are heavily invested here. You see, there is a problem. If you look at a country like Egypt, for example, they've got over 1 million military personnel. That is for a country that has almost half the population of Nigeria. I think Egypt should be around 90 million or something like that. While here in Nigeria, we have 200 million people, and what we have in our army, they are not up to 200,000 soldiers. So you can imagine where there will be a problem, because I think the root of this problem is also, for you to actually do Buhari justice in this regard, you'd have to look at the root of the problem. Why don't we have enough soldiers? Why don't we? I would say it's because of the history of the military juntas that have been ruling Nigeria in decades past. And when they were in power, normally those generals that will seize power, they don't want an army that is strong enough in personnel and gear for it to be a threat to their power. So successive governments, they left the army to rot, and they did not, recruit more personnel as in concurrence with the level of our population growth. Now that all exploded in the last decade, because now you have a major security issue, but you do not have the manpower and the enough equipment to deal with these problems. And that is why, while they have succeeded in the northeast, they have not done anything in other parts of the country, anything to write home about, because they have already extended expended all their power, their manpower, and their equipment, all in fighting the north.
Hassan, yeah, you said
Yes.
that Buhari's legacy, and Ajale Koko also said that will be the pain and suffering that has been inflicted on the Nigerian state. But is that pain and suffering, is it not a necessary sacrifice for the changes that needs to happen within the Nigerian space? Because of course, like you said, the security apparatus is grossly under recruited for, and the country, like we've already said, throughout this Buhari administration, they went through a lot of financial difficulties. The oil money was not coming in, and then you had recessions, you had the COVID period, all of that. So all of that is strain on resources, which of course impacts on the country. And even within that, you are accounting and recounting some of his successes in the Northeast. We've already accounted and recounted some of his successes in the Southeast and Southwest. So this pain period, is it not a necessary offshoot of change?
You see, I would agree with Ajali Koko here, in the sense that although we had recessions, although yes, oil was selling at a lower price, these guys, Buhari's government got access to a lot of loan, a lot of money. They got access to a lot of money. But I would not say that that money was used judiciously. I would not say that. I think that money was spent. Yes, there must be a pain. For example, governance. People in the grassroots really need to feel that governance. They need to feel the benefits of governance right at the grassroots, for people to associate any positive thing with a government. You see, and you can say Buhari's government fail in that regard, because only people in this sub-region would think that Buhari's government has done very, very well. At least this is our experience, because we know that you need to have life before you enjoy any economic activity. So for us here, we are happy with what Buhari has been able to achieve, for one thing and one thing only. No matter the kind of millions you have or how entrepreneurial you are, if you do not have peace, then the quality of life is just so poor. So what we've gotten now is we've gotten peace, and because peace is more important, at least for the people in the south, in the northeast, we are happy. Majority are happy with what Buhari has been able to achieve. You see, but we are just one check in the overall machine, parts of the machine that is called Nigeria. So for us in the northeast, our experience is that Buhari has done well. Yes, he has failed in the economy, but we've gotten peace, and that is more important to us than the economic activity. Moving forward, we would love to see how APC would continue to build on what Buhari has achieved, so that it can translate everywhere. That is what I think is the case here. So when we talk about these sacrifices, I would think that people here, yes, it's okay. If not having money is the sacrifice that we are going to get peace, then fine. But I don't think that is the general experience of the remaining people in Nigeria.
All right, Hassan, let me move you on to another talking point. Let me take you to the preacher woman that was praying for a newborn baby. She placed a pen in his hand, and she prayed then that he should be one of the people that embezzle Nigeria's money. So is this the reality of the Nigeria that we have now, that people have now considered morality to just for money?
It is a very, very sad thing. Very sad. But generally, I would say that seems to be the case. You know, we Nigerians, we are people who are overly religious. We are Christians, we are Muslims, we go to church, we go to mosque, we pray to God, we do all these things. But yet the Nigerian is always thinking that he is smarter than God. He's going to go and indulge in all sorts of immoral activities, and then he just believes that God will forgive him. So Nigerians are so bad that even the core values that roots people, in their life to have meaning, moral meaning, Nigerians do away with it. But they can be overzealous. They are superficial people. You'll see them in mosques and churches, but then when push comes to shove, for them to make right decisions, moral decisions, most of the time Nigerians fail. And Ajali Koko said something that I agree with 100%. You see, our leaders, they are not people who they are not just they don't just come from heaven while it's raining. They are people like you and me, ordinary people who grow up in career and connection and vision, whatever it is, and become leaders. So there is that representation, that aggregate of representation. This is the typical way a Nigerian leader behaves, because they are also part of us. That is the same socialization process like all of us had. That is what they went through. And unfortunately, this kind of socialization process usually puts the Nigerian at default. The default setting of a Nigerian is for that Nigerian to be corrupt, immoral. So people that you see that are rooted in morality and are doing the right thing, they are the very, very tiny minority. I think that is our case, unfortunately.
All right, brilliant. Let me take you to this space, Hassan. So that this is Buhari calling the verdict on his own administration, and it seems somewhat to be giving himself a pass mark. So he is insisting that the election that is just passed. Let me actually give you the headline. It says 2023 elections, one of my proudest achievements as president. So this is Buhari speaking via Garba Shehu. So what I am reading into this is that he's sending a signal to the judiciary space not to mess with that election, because as far as he is concerned, it's a free and fair election and the results should stand. So what do you think Buhari is signaling with this headline? Election, one of my proudest achievements as president.
What I think he's trying to say is that Nigerians should judge him, favorably. He's about to leave power, and now he's reflecting on his legacies. And then the demons are confronting him, and one thing he can choose and cherry pick to talk about is the election that he conducted. Yes, the election is quite free, it's quite fair. But then it's just trying to deflect on the areas that he has failed. And as far as signal, I don't think there is any, underpinning signal that he's trying to send from the message. It's just, reflecting now. He's in a stage where he's reflecting now about the things that he has done and all that. And I think that is why he talked about that. But generally too, he has tried very well in other areas. But then Buhari, last 8 years, there was COVID, there was recessions, and then lots of money and all that. But I know that has played a role in a lot of the things that he was not able to achieve. However, the little that he's been able to achieve, I think, is something that people need to cut him some slack, because Nigeria is not an easy country to manage at all. And from the outside, you may think that everything is rosy, but when you go inside the office and see the level of decay, that is when you really understand how difficult this country is, to rule and govern over. Ajali Koko talked about his personality. I think that is an accurate assessment too, because he doesn't have a very good span of control. He's not the kind of leader that follows up. He means well, but ineffective for a country like Nigeria. That's just what I think.
All right, finally, Hassan, and briefly, so looking back now, as the Buhari administration gets into its final phase and packs their bag to leave, what do you think the abiding memory of this administration will be? Will it be the bloodletting or the infrastructural achievement? So how would Buhari be remembered in history?
For people of the Northeast, he'll be remembered favorably, but for other people, I don't think he will be remembered favorably, because really, people who lived through his 8 years have seen a lot of bloodletting, a lot of activities of. Well, Buhari will be remembered for the economics of his time. I think most democracies, the economy actually, give people a lasting impression over what you do. If you look at the United States, for example, a lot of presidents that do not do well in economy hardly get a second chance to go back to office, because that is the primary thing that everybody on the streets, affects their life daily. So if a leader is not able to deliver a functioning economy, usually the verdict on him are not favorable at all. But Buhari will have an excuse, and people too will have an excuse because of all this COVID, recession, and then the price of fuel that was very, very low. That's what I think anyway.
All right, brilliant. Right, thank you. So thank you, Hassan. Stay with us. So from the mighty Hassan to the excellent Simba. So Simba, you're up next. So Simba, so to the narrative. So really exciting news for the Southeast, and a lot of exciting news for the Southeast actually in the course of this Buhari administration. The concession of the Onitsha River Port, a real game changer, a real economic game changer for the Southeast. Simba.
Yeah, thank you, one man. Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, on my own side, I think if you look at the previous, starting from 1999, and if you look at what Buhari has done, especially for the Southeasterners, I think it has really done very well for them. Because I could remember this dredging of the River Niger was actually something that previous administration has conceived, but they didn't do anything about it. So for him to have done that, even the second Niger bridge was actually conceived by Jonathan, but he didn't do anything until when Buhari came. He started it, he completed it. This one also, I think if we leave sentiment apart, Buhari has really done well for the the Southeasterners. And then so that this narrative that Southeast is abandoned, is there no federal presence, I think if they will be truth to themselves, that narrative should at least we should forget about it, and it should be dead by now.
All right, brilliant. And you wanted to come in when we were speaking about the Sudan space, Sudan conflict. 1,262 Nigerian students demand evacuation, 330 residents killed. So it's a never-ending story, the war in the Sudan. I think you and I, we were born into those narratives of war in the Sudan. Almost likely, when we draw our last breath, there'll still be war in the Sudan. So the war never ending, but the Nigerian aspect, over 1,000 Nigerian students in Sudan. So the question then, why are they in Sudan? We started off saying they were there for Islamic studies, but Hassan explained that the studies in the Sudan expands beyond Islam. So what are you then making then of that storyline, Simba?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, let me just even give you a brief history of what is actually causing this present conflict. They have a president in the man named Omar Bashar that was ousted in 2019. He ruled them for a long period, and then after a while, these same civilians that are complaining now, that the one that joined with the military and the man was overthrown. And that is why, these shenanigans that are also going on in Nigeria now, that our people are going to the military and asking military to take over. That is what happened in Sudan. The civilians are the ones that called the military to overthrow the so-called dictator that they have, Omar Bashir, in 2019. And so it's the same military now that is now causing problem for them. Actually, the former president, this Omar Bashir, actually there was a fight in Darfur in the western part of Sudan, where they have most of their minerals, because Sudan is one of the largest, country in Africa, and they have a lot of solid minerals. They have gold, they have diamonds,
There's
they
a
have all these
particular solid mineral that they have that powers
tantalite. They have tantalite. They have
yes,
tantalite.
that powers 90% of French energy. Yes, carry on.
Yes. So, and there are a lot of foreign interest in actually mine these minerals. So when during this they were fighting, so there was a tribal war then, and then that time he created these rapid support forces. They call them RSF. These are basically thugs, civilians that he recruited to fight the militias in the tribal war in Darfur that time. And then before he left the office, he actually made the decree that actually legalized them. So they call them the paramilitary. They are existing side by side with the Sudanese armed forces. The Sudanese armed forces are the legal armed forces that have the training. They have the Sudanese Defense Academy. They rank through they have this thing, the military training, and then they promote them through the ranks and all that. But these rapid support forces, they don't have any military training. They are just people that they recruited and gave them gun to fight the tribal war that time. So now they now have two head, the one that are the one that is heading the military, the Sudanese military forces, and the one that is heading the rapid support forces. Now the two of them now they have certain areas now that they are controlling in Sudan. So what is actually causing the conflict is that who is going to actually take over Sudan, and whoever take over the Sudan will become the richest person in Sudan, because presently they are the one mining and selling this thing, and the money is not going to the coffer of the Sudanese government. So that is actually what is actually causing the conflict. So, and then going to if you look at Sudan in history, Sudan is actually the route where most Nigerians that used to go to Saudi Arabia for pilgrimage used to pass through that time. Some of them went during their process of going to Saudi Arabia, some of them get tired in Sudan, and they resided there. And then some of them, by the time they get to Saudi Arabia, they are coming by the, so some of them, so there are a lot of Nigerians living in Sudan. We have over 5 million people, 5 million Nigerians that are actually living in Sudan. Then apart from those people who are living there legally, the students also, we have a lot of university, English-speaking universities in Sudan. I have a lot of friends who are actually, they are medical doctors that are graduated from Sudanese university. So the notion that maybe we'll be thinking that Sudan is a Arabic speaking and the only thing that you get there is a Islamic studies is not true. They have a very good university. So I don't know what is happening now that they don't have a stable government, but they have a lot of Nigerian students that actually graduated and are still schooling in Sudan. So I think that is basically what is happening in Sudan presently. There are a lot of countries, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, United Arab
Can,
Emirates.
Hold on,
can I add
Simba.
something?
Yeah, I think Hassan wants to interject. Come in, Hassan.
Yes, he's right, all true. But what is happening that is causing a lot of unrest in Sudan is power play. You know, it has become obvious that the military are getting supplies, from Russia, and then the rebels is be rumored have some form of backing from other Western powers. So it seems like another proxy war being fought, in Africa. And then what is happening is mirroring what is happening in Ukraine. Two world powers clashing in a country, and then, encouraging every side to get the power so that they can maintain their influence in that sub-region. That is what I want to add. You can continue, please, sir.
All
Yes.
right, wrap up that space.
So yes, you are
and then
very right. You look at it. Russia has a stake, and they were actually the one that are supporting the rapid support forces. They are the one mining the gold, and then United Arab Emirates. They are also. Then, if you recall, now presently, there was a war that is going on in Yemen. Some of these rapid support forces were actually recruited to go and fight in Yemen. But now the war in Yemen is trying now to curtail it, and so most of them are now coming back to Sudan, and it's also contributing. So the two major the generals that are fighting now are actually getting support from different countries, because these countries are the ones that are interested in their minerals, and they are giving them a lot of support so that whoever wins, we will be in control of all these solid minerals in Sudan. Basically, that is what is happening.
all right, brilliant. Let me take you then to the preacher woman that placed a biro in a child's hand and went on to pray or curse. Is it a prayer or a curse that the child should grow up to be one of the embezzlers of Nigeria's wealth? Is this a sign of the times? Simba, briefly on that.
I want to agree with Ajele Koko. I don't think that script is true. I think it's just a portion of a movie that was cut, and then some people are now sharing it. It's just to depict the value system in our society that has been eroded. Before, when we talk about leaders, my stake. I don't want to blame the leaders, because whatever leaders you get is actually the reflection of the followers. So I have experience. I have a lot of friends who are in politics. There was a time I went out with one of my friends, was an honorable in Osun State, and we just went to a joint and to go and eat fish and take some drinks. And when we got there, he was a known man in the society, and most people are just coming to him that day. The one that asked for school fees, the one that asked for, my wife is pregnant, I need some money. The kind of demands we place on our leaders is part of those things that is actually encouraging them to be corrupt. So you cannot be better than your skill. Whatever you get in the society, a leader that you have, is just a reflection of the followership. So I think that is what is up. So our value system has been eroded. Gone were the days when people are not the people are shying away, and they don't want to be associated with people with questionable characters, people that are corrupt or people that are thief or whatever. But these days, whatever you bring is what even our religious houses, they are not encouraging that. People will donate money to religious to churches, to mosques, and nobody cares about where they get the money from. So, and those are the things. So everybody just about money now. Nobody question how you get the money. So it's just a reflection of our value system that has been eroded. So I think they are just using this one to show what is actually happening in the environment. I don't think is a sane person will do that and be praying for in a public space or on a child to be corrupt. So I don't think it's true.
All right, thank you. So briefly on this one, the final one, Simba. So Hassan disagrees with me, but I still feel that this is Buhari signaling to the judiciary not to touch his election. 2023 elections, one of my proudest achievements as president, Buhari. So this is something that we've been debating, just the veracity, the validity, and the credibility of that 2023 elections. So this is Buhari coming out now via the media output of Garba Shehu to tell you that this is his legacy. So him saying that, I'm suggesting that it is a signal to the judiciary not to change anything. Hassan disagrees, but what says you, Simba?
I agree with you, one man. Even I want to take it further. It's not only the judiciary. If you know what is happening presently, there are some people that are going underneath now for putting pressure on Buhari to actually annul that election and put in an interim government. And because if you look at what is happening, there's some even our ex head of state, ex presidents that are not even, they don't want this Tinubu to be sworn in on May 29. So I think what is actually telling them is that there's no going back. This election is credible, is free and fair, and I'm not going to do whatever you people are demanding for. Come to May 29, I'm going to swear in the next president of this country. I think that's what is just. So it's not only to the judiciary, is telling whoever is actually want to be an obstacle to his handing over to Tinubu. I think that's what I feel.
All right. All right. Thank you. Simba, stay with us. Simba, let's take the conversation on to Joseph as we continue to progress.
But just sorry, I want to say something about the legacy of Buhari that we are talking about.
Yeah. So what would be the abiding legacy of our man from Daura?
Yes, Baba Jale Koko has spoken about it, and then Azan has also heard his own view. I think if you look at from 2015 when Buhari came in, yes, Buhari, we all expect Buhari to, at least our expectation was actually not up to what he delivered was not up to what we were expecting from him. But if you look at the challenges that Buhari actually faced, when he came in, actually there was a delay in actually constituting his own government for like 6 months. There was no minister. Then he had the house that was not actually in his support, in the person of the senior president of Saraki, who always opposed to his reforms. And most of the things that we are now blaming him for signing now was those things that actually the first assembly, I mean the Saraki-led Senate supposed to have ratified for him to have passed. So it was only during this administration that he has his own control of the house that was able to achieve this. So we have to look at what are the impediments that this guy has. So it's not as if it was a deliberate thing. The first 4 years was not actually very good for him because he was not in control of the house, and it was like an opposition house that he has. So it was a wasted 4 years. Then if you look at that, then he had his own health challenges during that time also. So that was also part of the problem that actually affected his performance. Then come with recession, then come with the Niger Delta militancy. During that period, we were producing like 600,000 barrels of crude oil. So the money from crude oil was not even forthcoming. So then after that, as we are recovering from that, then the COVID-19 came. So those are the things that we have to look at. Then on the issue of security, Azan has spoken well about the security challenges that we have in the country, and that the size of our armed force was actually not adequate, because what actually influenced the size of any country armed forces is actually the challenges that you have faced. Nigeria has never fought any war, as is only the only war that fought was within, which is the civil war. So we didn't have that necessity to have a very large size armed forces. He made mention of Egypt. Egypt has a lot of armed personnel because they were surrounded by countries who are engaged in conflict and are also involved. Look, Egypt share boundary with Israel and Palestine. So they have to be, and then because the Eastern countries are also engaged in a lot of war. So Egypt military is actually one of the strongest military in the Middle East. So that is what. So now that we have at least taken the war on Boko Haram has taken a lot of tolls on our military personnel and our equipment, and that is why the bandits are having a free day in the northwestern part of the country. If you look at it for a long period now, Boko Haram has not been in the news, and I think he has done a lot of work, and I think the Boko Haram problem has been minimized significantly. So, so the only place where I can blame Buhari is actually in this area of security, which I think the incoming administration should be able to improve on, maybe by recruiting and then equipping more, equip our military more. Then the other issue is about the concession that you talk about. I think that the onus now lie on our southeastern people to actually give peace a reign, so that this sport will be able to function well. And then what we need in Nigeria now is everybody to cooperate, because I don't want a situation whereby what is actually happening in Sudan will happen in Nigeria the way we are going. So I think we have to be very careful in Nigeria so that we will not be the one that cause problems in our country. Thank you.
All right, brilliant. Well put, Simba. So thank you, Simba. So let's go on from you, Simba, then to Joseph, who joins us. So Joseph, are you there?
Good afternoon to you all. And good evening to son.
Good day to you. Good to meet you. So Joseph, so to it and to the conversation, pick it up then from where Hassan stopped. Because for all of the criticisms of Buhari, the biggest and positive changes for the last 30, maybe 40 years that has happened within the Southeast has been under his administration. The second Niger Bridge, a real game changer. I was in my opening monologue suggesting that is a $2 billion per annum economy right there, the facilitation for business, because not only was that bridge built, all of the connecting satellite infrastructural roads and necessities, all of the accoutrement trinkets were also built to facilitate for that bridge. So a real opening up of the Southeast, which I'm suggesting is a $2 billion per annum minimum economy for ease of doing business. And to ease that business even further, the concession now of the Onitsha port, which has been completed and dry tested and now handed over to business people to ensure that it functions. So what are you then making then of that concession of the Onitsha seaport, Joseph?
Before I start my comment, I would like to thank all the people that have spoken. They've spoken well. For the East Standard, I think they are the most beneficiary of this government in terms of economy. But they will not accept that from you because sentimentally they will not want to speak the truth. That also takes us to in terms of capacity to manage an election in Nigeria. You see, they said, he who much is given, much is expected. Although you cannot force anybody to vote for anybody. You see, in Southeast, they will always cry and say that this APC government have never favored them in any way. But they will forget to look at what had this government done in Nigeria for these 8 years, and who have benefited from this government. You see, this election that we just heard that came and gone, you see how Southeasterners vote for APC. They got just maybe 5% of the total vote that came to Southeast. But in terms of government sharing, in terms of sharing of position in government, but there will be the highest that will be crying woeful that they have to be given this position, they have to be given this position. When you are playing one-way politics and you are expecting to benefit from where you did not sow, it is very difficult. It is very difficult to benefit such thing, you understand? And even as that, in these 8 years of Buhari government, they have benefited a lot, not in security aspect. In security aspect, I can say the Northeast have benefited a lot. In terms of infrastructure, I would say both the North and the South have benefited from Buhari government. But in terms of generally economic aspect, Buhari have not done well in Nigeria in economy. But in terms of economy, the little he has done, the Southeast have benefited more than 50%. That is what I have to say in that aspect.
All right, brilliant. Well put. Brilliant, well put. So put this brilliantly as well. The preacher woman that was inviting that the destiny of a newborn should be a looter of the Nigerian coffers. So 419.com, Nigeria Limited, incorporated fully. So what are you then making then of that? Is that a sign of the times?
Hello?
Hello. Did you hear me?
Yeah. That very issue that you are talking about, just as the last speaker said, I don't think that is real. Maybe they just they just have to stage that. Maybe they cut that out of a film, or just to bring a propaganda to the public space. You understand? That is what most Nigerians, young Nigerians, are doing now, just to get followers. They do most propaganda in cyberspace. So in media space, a lot of propaganda is going on. I don't think that is real for me. I cannot really comment about that. I think it's not real.
All right. To this space then, Joseph, Buhari now inviting that the elections just gone is one of his proudest achievements as president. So is that an endorsement then of the elections to say to people that I'm not going to let this change? So is that Buhari putting the final endorsement on Tinubu's return certificate of return?
Buhari, to start with, don't even have the political, the constitutional right to even annul that result, or to declare that result null and void. he don't have the constitutional right. For him to say this is the greatest election so far, anybody who is disputing that should come up with an evidence to dispute that. If you are saying what he's saying is not true, how do you explain what transpired in the election, where a ruling party got 12 states, opposition got 12 states? Outside that, governors who are vying for position, they could not make it. Have that happened before in the history of Nigeria election? It's a question that needs to be answered by those who are disputing what Buhari is saying, that it's not a free and fair election. An Okada rider going to House of Assembly, Federal House of Assembly. Has that happened before in Nigeria election? As APC, what's it called, Tinubu, have they lost before in Lagos? Have you seen a city president losing his state before? So there's a lot of question to be answered, because when people fail on their duty, they will like to find one excuse or the other to cover it up. This kind of coming together and that PDP and Labour is doing now is what they are supposed to do before the election, but they refuse to do it. What did APC do to take power from PDP? It's coming together. A group of different political parties came together and took power from PDP. If you want to take power from the ruling party, you can't do it individually, except you come together. That is the truth. Despite even Buhari himself never want Tinubu to be a president by his policy and others. The area Buhari have not tried in this 8 years of his government is the area of economy and the area of implementation of whatever law that have been signed. Implementation is very poor in all the laws that is being signed. And also, in terms of economy, he has not tried, but he might have excuse on the economy. I don't think he have excuse in the issue of implementation. That's why he never wanted Tinubu, but it is very difficult. I can remember vividly in 2007 when what was it called? Obasanjo was in power. Edo State had an election where Oshomole won. Everybody knew that he won. All the electoral officers that supposed to read that election, that are supposed to call the result, the state as a officer, they resigned. 3 officers resigned. They're supposed to call that result because they don't want to call wrong result. Obasanjo have to come by himself and call that result. If Tinubu refused, if Buhari refused to interfere in this very election and allow it to go in whatever way he wants to go, it shows that the election was free and fair. No matter whatever you want to say, no election that you will do that there will not be that there will not be crisis, there will not be fight, because the election in Nigeria is like war, it's like fight. You understand? So you cannot just sit down and somebody will come and give you power. Like they used to say, power is not a la carte. It cannot be given on a la carte. You understand? A platform for a la carte. You have to fight for it. You have to work for it. And this election, I will say, is the best election. Anybody who is disputing that, let that person come and explain to me whatever question that I've asked since. How do they explain it? Has it happened before in the history of Nigeria election? No. If it has not happened before and it's happening now, how credible and free and fair do you want the election to be? Although there were discrepancies in some states, all election cannot just be the same. Some person might be bad. There might be some bad airs in INEC officials, but it does not override the totality of the election. You understand? For me, for Buhari saying that statement is the right word and is saying the right thing. Anybody who have anything contrary, it should come out and debate it. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Brilliantly put. Excellent by Joseph. So excellent by Joseph. Kulata joins us, Joseph, and I suspect that he was especially excited to speak about the concession of the Onitsha River Sea Port to privateers. So Kulata, to you and to that space then. So this is a game changer move on the part of this administration, Kulata.
Yes, one man. Greetings to everybody. This is a game. I mean, this is something that's been coming on. I actually have a friend. I mean, I can't disclose the information that he relocated from the UK. I mean, we did MBA around the same time, long time ago. He relocated from the UK in the mid 2000s to actually come and try and do this. He was working for one of these concessionaire companies in the UK. I believe it's also from Holland. I won't be shocked if so. He's been working on this since the late 2000s, mid to late 2000s. I need to call him to find out if he was involved in this. So this has been something coming for a long time. The prior government did not take it seriously. They just used it to chop money. And it was supposed to be the Onitsha port, the Barrow port in Niger, and then another port in Kogi. So you could have some Lokoja port. Yeah, thank you. So you could have like some light vessels traversing River Niger whenever, we have enough rain, of course. And they can be taking all this stuff there. So they'll build barges in all these river ports. And then you can, when a big ship comes, you can offload some of those cargoes, put them into smaller ships, and take them inland, Nigeria. So now that this is actually becoming a thing, the concessionaire is where we need to find out if they have the capacity, because any sort of PPP really depends on the ability of who the concessionaire is. So the Universal Elysium Consortium, I don't know their capacity or their abilities, because we shouldn't just say hurrah that they've signed the deal. Is now we need to make sure that they execute it, because one thing that may happen is if the concessionaire finds out they may not make too much money because of the east-west roads being built and some other roads being built. The east-west road will connect to Onne Port. So that may be an alternative for people to carry cargo into the interlands of the southeast and all. And then you have also other roads that they may build that may take cargo from the Calabar port, because we have 2 functional ports in that area and they're still working on additional ports. So if it's not going to make money, this may be early celebration, because at the end of the day, they may not end up to build it. So that's number one. Number two is going to be the technical ability of these guys to be able to deliver this, because they announced this last year. This is not the first time they're announcing it. And I think they've had prior announcements. So while it's a good indication of what may happen, as far as I'm concerned, it's still a potential until they make sure the business viability, the feasibility, they should have done feasibility by now, but to make sure that the ongoing viability of that area really pans out. Because who knows, unrest may happen. They may sit at home Monday, may become sit at home Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Who knows where that will land. But it shuts down the narrative that people are not attempting to revive business and commerce in that area. And since that area, the business people participate a lot in import of goods to a very large extent, not necessarily export. It will benefit the Southeast economy. for the long term. If it pans out, I still put that disclaimer there. If it pans out, so it's good news. It's good news.
But what it does address, Kolata, is the old narrative of there not being a federal presence in the Southeast. So I don't know, because the second Niger bridge for me and this series of seaports being opened. I think it's back. And this series of seaports being opened in the Southeast, I think that is an economic window right there.
Oh yeah. Both of them are economical. Second Niger bridge, game changer. This one, game changer. The third game changer is the rail. But I'm shocked that the rail, there are a lot of pushbacks about the rail from the Southeast and the South-South. And Amechi too did not do very well by pushing for single, oh my God, what's that thing called? A single carriage rather than the modern dual carriage. So I don't know why Amechi made that decision. I think that was a dumb decision. But if you, I'd rather take single than not take anything. So, but I heard any sort of developmental projects in some parts of the country, the people use it as an opportunity to cash out from the government. That's why you really don't see a lot of government interest going to build in those areas, because in a lot of those areas, there's a lot of their own version of Omonile that will stifle any project, because you have to give everybody a gunje, and at the end of the day, nothing happens. As opposed to if you want to situate like a project in the Southwest, people are eager to give you land to build that project, because maybe they see they see the long-term perspective of whatever infrastructure is set up. So that aspect is there too. But from a political perspective, it's a political coup, because it kills that narrative that everybody likes saying, they're not setting seaports, they're not setting this, they're not setting that. No, they are setting it up. You guys are just not paying attention. So anybody should be able to use this news to educate Nigerians that nobody is interested in stifling your progress. These are the different investments the government is doing to make sure you guys can have your own seaport. So it's good news.
All right, Kolata, let me take you outside of Nigeria to the Sudan. The story never changes, of course. They are up in arms again and shooting at each other. So now, warring factions to take charge of that country, who are, Simba just described how heavily rich they are in mineral resources. So the war in Sudan, but what particularly struck me is the number of Nigerian students caught in the crossfire, apparently on an education course there. Of one of the places that I thought Nigerians had sought education, I never thought the Sudan.
Sudan? Well, what are they going to study in Sudan?
I don't know. Something, you know.
Even if it's Ileke, they can go to Egypt, or like they can learn Ileke in Nigeria, like Sudan. Really? What are they doing in Sudan? Anyway, Sudan's situation is unfortunate. It's just like a typical African country that I've been reading about since I could read. You can take this news and take it from the 70s or take it from the 80s. Nothing has changed. There's a problem with the black man and the ability for the black man to govern himself. It's sad. Now you have a soldier, the head of the army, and then the head of the junta, the Janjaweed. They are now jostling for power. They used to work together. They used to work hand in hand together, but they're now jostling for power because they're supposed to return back to democracy this year, I believe. So in terms of now, who is now going to be the overall military boss? This is what the fight is about. Now, within this fight, you have Russia through a company, Wilbur Group, or the group starts with W, that are busy stealing mineral resources, and they're funding this conflict. So that's one of the reasons why you may never see peace in all these areas, because within the chaos, you have entrepreneurs that are cashing out big time, and they can sell you cheap guns, because African wars is just cheap artillery. Like this, I mean, you give them bullets, you give them RPGs, AK-47, they're happy. They'll kill each other, and they'll kill each other from now till tomorrow. So it's yet another situation where Black Africa cannot see beyond the immediate Pele, and it's sad. Now, this means a lot to geopolitical stability. This is further going to destabilize Nigeria and West Africa in large. Because what happened in Libya, we're still reeling through the effects of Libya. Sudan is very close to us. We're only separated from Sudan by Chad. And Sudan borders like 7 African countries. So the instability in Sudan is going to affect Ethiopia, Eritrea, Libya, Chad, which other countries? There are many other countries that surround that. Sudan is a very, very big, it's the 3rd biggest country in Africa. So we should be prepared that it is going to spill over to Nigeria, because you're going to have guns and all those things coming. And the next president should do what Nigeria has been begging for: ramp up our soldiers, recruit, do a massive recruiting of soldiers, and of course a massive recruitment of police, and basically make our military presence strong, and we have better homeland security. Honestly, I don't even know how we've been surviving without a ton of defense forces and a ton of police forces. It's because when you go to other countries, they don't play with stuff like that. I was recently in India, and I was shocked with the amount of soldiers that they have in everywhere of life. You can't enter the airport. The soldier will check you to make sure that you have a valid ticket. It's not even a police, it's a soldier checking all that stuff. And you're wondering, like, whoa, when you see soldiers in the hotels, they're bomb detectors and all those things before you enter the place. And this is like maybe the top 10 cities, not like their own Lagos or anything. It's not Delhi, it's not Mumbai, it's not anywhere. It's another city. But the security presence in that city is so high.
Is it Chennai? I've been to Chennai.
No, it's not Chennai. It's Hyderabad.
Okay.
It's Hyderabad. We have a massive presence in Hyderabad. So it's Hyderabad. So you do see all sorts of security presence, and you now start thinking that Nigeria, we don't have all this. Like, so how are we surviving? Because they too, they have bomb attacks, they have terrorist attacks, but they're able to control it with all sorts of security forces. So we cannot go forward without ramping up recruiting massively of security. So Sudan, the Sudan conflict will affect us, because Sudan conflict will destabilize South Sudan too. And it doesn't look like a conflict that's about to end anytime soon, because the mineral resources that they should be selling to make money, the Russians, they're stealing it. The other military resources they had has gone to South Sudan, the oil fields. So they're going to be in conflict for a long time, and we have to protect ourselves.
All right. Skulata, let me take you to this one. I'm briefly on this. The prayer lady praying for with handing over a pen, putting a pen into the hand of a barely 2-week-old baby, and praying that with that pen he embezzles Nigeria's wealth. So people are suggesting that it's a skit or not. It didn't strike me as a skit, but skit or not, is this the sign of the times that we live in now? Is this the new Nigeria that people talk about?
This is the new Nigeria. Sign of times reminds me of Prince. Yeah, these are the sign of times. These are the sign of times. Like, yeah, everybody silently wants their kids to be elected or nominated for a federal position where they too can steal the country blind. Do you blame them? No, because the people that do steal the country blind, they get rewarded for doing that. They get rewarded in our churches, in our mosques. They get rewarded in the society. They get the chieftaincy title. They get everything. You that you're doing a honest work, you don't get anything for a honest work. You get insults. So why will she not want our child to be a mover and shaker in the society? So it's a sign of times. It is what it is. Our societies values is warped. If you don't steal, if you get nominated and you don't steal, in Yoruba land, they will almost crush you out. That you had the opportunity and you didn't do this. That you are or something. I can't pick the words. Like it's like a wasted opportunity. So it's a sign of the times. Ashiri or what do we call it?
Or Didiri or something.
Didiri or something. Dadan dindin dodoyo. So something like that. So you don't blame the woman. It's a sign of the times.
All right, brilliant. We'll put Kulata. So Kulata, Mrs. Adebutu, or has she gone? I thought I saw Mrs. Adebutu just now. I thought she was joining us for the first time. So we seem to have lost her. So we've lost Mrs. Adebutu. So let's go on then to Bishop, who is still with us. So Bishop, you're up next. So to then the concession of this seaport now that is being fully working to the southeast. So to not to Onitsha. So what are you making of the concession? Are people suggesting a game changer, Bishop?
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good day.
Thank you for coming in today. And let me make Baba Ajande Gogo. Please do like and share. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, kindly do so. Well, it's a good development. We actually need more of that. Maybe some people will say it's too little and coming a little bit too late. I don't think so. Somebody analyzed it very well that spoke earlier on. We actually need it. Yeah, the challenges of rails springing up and new roads might reduce the viability, but I don't think so. I think when we have options and we have increased options, it drives competition to improve. If you want to take it on the part of we praise the government, well, because we are not actually used to praising government, especially considering political affiliations and interests and the way things have panned out in the recent past. I would not say he's doing it for the praises of that, doing it done for the praises of it, rather than what is very necessary. I think we have not explored the potential, the developmental potential and the viability of the Southeast enough. In fact, of all parts of Nigeria, Nigeria has been in the doldrum for a greater part of our recent past, which has not helped us in any way. Because if not, we should not be talking of this inland port now, not in 2020. Where are we now? In 2023, this is something that should have been completed. So I would say kudos to the completion of that project and for the concession, because one of the mistakes we have made earlier on is making government to run such businesses. So concessioning it to an operator, I think it's going to work. It's really going to work because of the volume. And I'm not actually looking at it from the point of importing. I'm looking at it from the point of making Southeast a manufacturing hub, so that there will be more of export than import. Take things out. I mean, there are things we are good at, and if we concentrate energy, put some effort in it, we can improve a lot, and we'll have a lot of things being manufactured there and exported out. So I'll say it's a very good step in the right direction.
All right, brilliant. And a question I forgot to put to Kolata, but everybody else has spoken on it. The abiding legacy of the Buhari administration, will it be remembered for the bloodletting or for the infrastructural development? How do you think history will judge him?
Quite honestly, a good number of things. Buhari did well by my own estimation, and there is no how you want to dice Buhari. You either be judged as being partisan or being biased or being Buhari's. Well, if I want to judge Buhari has actually done more in not just infrastructure in brick and mortar, as we are seeing, but in trying to restructure Nigeria silently from within. Unfortunately, some of them were met with some very serious resistance. There are a few things he could not do because of the distractions. So, if we are going to rate him in the areas of those silent restructuring moves, I would call him higher. Definitely, in the area of brick and mortar infrastructure, is done more, considering the challenges that were faced by this administration. People enumerated, the people that spoke earlier spoke about uh, the dip in the oil pricing. We all, I mean, knew what happened in 2014. I remember Okonjo-Iweala addressing the press sometimes in 2014, and she said there was a particular month that the federal government borrowed 800 and something billion, 873 billion or 783 billion to pay salaries. We were borrowing money to pay salaries then, despite coming from an oil boom. Not only that, there were no infrastructures. We depleted our excess crude account from almost $100 billion to almost nothing. Our foreign reserve dipped, and almost 27 states were owing salary. We were left with a tattered ragtag army that were, they call it technical maneuvering, technically running away from insurgents and terrorists. And so, whether we want to, if we want to be very true to ourselves, Buhari inherited a very troubled country, a country in tatters. So, and the opposition, PDP did not help matters. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. And a section of the country, the hostilities, the opposition, and the opposition really made some things to be very difficult. And Buhari himself did not help matters. Buhari retaining almost 70% of people he inherited from PDP. There is a saying in the part of the world I come from that from where Yesabe Omeka. I don't know how to translate that. It's like keeping enemy within your fold. You are trying to push forward, and some people are actually pulling back. And so there were so many of them because Buhari did not reward people that ensured his victory and people that believed in him. He did not reward them with position and appointment. He retained almost 70% of the people he inherited in very sensitive position. So those accounted for, a great deal to his seemingly lackluster performance in so many areas. But I will give it to him. He's done his best, and we'll actually appreciate some of the things he's done when we begin to see the results, which obviously don't come immediately, they don't come suddenly. But in terms of brick and mortar, he did well. In terms of rearming our military, that's an area I'm interested in, and I know how much our military had moved. All you need to see is just go to global index, firepower index, and what Buhari has done to our military, not just the army alone, the Air Force, the Army, the Navy, even our territorial waters has never been this safe. We have moved up in the rating of the International Maritime Organization. So, to a large extent, I'm sure in a matter of in a very short time, we'll be able to appreciate what he has done. So his legacy are already written, no matter what we want to say. When we begin to see it, even when we don't say it out, people that don't want to say it out because they don't want to give credit to in quotes now, a supposed enemy, they will know within themselves that we are not where we used to be.
All right. And very briefly on this, the preacher woman praying for the newborn to become a Luther.
Well, unfortunately, that's where we are. It's just a sample of what has happened in our society. We have churches now that have turned to magic centers. One, we have parents in the major part of the country that are encouraging their children, buying laptop for them to go and do what their mates are doing, encouraging them to do Yahoo Yahoo. We have churches doing night vigil, Yahoo. They are doing special prayers for Yahoo children, Yahoo Yahoo. We have the menace of the one they call Yahoo Plus. We used to have it then in certain part of the country that parents would drive out their 14, 15, 16-year-old children to go and do what their mates are doing. I mean, loosely translated to, look, go and use your body to get what you want to get. So morally, we have really, I mean, I don't know if it was Simba that spoke earlier on, saying that every time we want to look at what the government did not do, but we are not looking at what we are doing, because our government are a reflection of what the society has become. And that's always been my position. I mean, when the government fails, yes, maybe we'll call them out. But hey, these people are not saints. They are not from heaven. We did not import them. These are people that grew up among us. These are people, some of them, we know them. We know their teeth when we were voting for them. We know they are dubious characters. So what was depicted, I saw the video, but I did not watch it. I was just flipping. I cannot imagine what it was going to be. I read some of the comments, so I never really saw the video in the recent. But I mean, I did not watch it. That's what I mean. But I just flipped my. But it's just from here now. I heard what it was all about. So it's a reflection, whether it's a skit or it's happening in real life. It's a reflection of what our society has become. I'll tell you one very sad story. Many years ago, there is this a lecturer in University of Benin. Oh, sorry. Maybe I should not mention our university. Maybe some people will be here. She was in chemistry department. Anyway, I won't mention her name. And she's a friend to somebody that was very close to me. Very close. What I mean very close. An elderly person. So one day she came and she was lamenting very seriously. What was her grouse? What was her anger? A parent had actually approached her, because the woman has a very smallish stature. You will not imagine that she's a lecturer, of that stature. And a parent actually approached her for her to help her daughter to sit for an exam in the university. You can imagine how terrible things had. Was ready to pay her. And the woman fled over, what an insult. So we have gotten to a situation whereby parents are actually looking for, even ordinary, this primary 6 exam they used to do to go to secondary school. What do they call it now? This unity school something. Parents are scouting to go and buy results. Buy answer sheets for their wards. Parents are looking for miracle centers for their children. Parents are giving their children money to go out to sort in the universities. Parents are helping their children, So these are the same people that grow up and get position, and we want them to turn around and perform magic. Where's it going to come from? It's not going to happen. So we need a real cultural and moral orientation amongst ourselves. So what the woman did, or what she was doing there, it's a reflection of what the society has become. And God, it's only ourselves and God that will deliver ourselves from ourselves.
All right, brilliant. Well put. So well put, Bishop. So well put, Bishop. So that will be the point. So we start to round off a short little session in the afternoons, as you know. So everyone listening, we are having a later session round about 9:45 p.m. UK time. So please come and join us there. So bookmark it so that you're available. And Hassan,
can I say one thing about the Sudan issue, please?
You have to be very brief.
Yeah, give me 3 minutes. Yeah, just 3 minutes. Just
my children.
My time starts now.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, you see, we dodged a bullet in 2020 NSAS protest. NSAS was degenerating to a regime change. And if we go back between 2019 and 2021, yeah, maybe Omar al-Bashir, or what was his name, was a little bit high-handed, just like the discussion we were having 2 days ago about some dictators. Now, all the dictators the West have supported, or the regime they don't like, they have supported in removing. What have they replaced them with? That's the question. What happened in Sudan 2 years ago that led to the ouster of Omar al-Bashir? I remember there was a time that he was declared wanted by ICJ, and they said he couldn't travel. I think he traveled to one country, South Africa, and they couldn't arrest him. And that unrest, civil unrest, was instigated. So what is playing out in Sudan today, there is the hand of the West boldly in it. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, it is the Sudan people and the Africans that will bear the brunt, because there's going to be a large of spillover. There are going to be a lot of ungoverned spaces in Sudan, and I can assure you, especially those in the south, south, just like Kulata explained a few minutes ago, we are going to bear the brunt of the overflow of this, whether they are criminals, whether they are bandits, whether they are people that are legitimately running away from the conflict, and they become hardened, they become terrified, and they can do anything. They will be willing to do anything to survive. So that is the precipice which we survived in 2020. Thank you.
All right, brilliant. Excellently put by Bishop. Thank you, Bishop. So thank you, Bishop. So excellently put by Bishop. So thank you, Adale Koko, Joseph Hassan, Bishop, Kulata, who came and went, Mrs. Ade Tutu, who came in, but we could not hear from her, and everyone else in between. So reconvene with us for 9:45 p.m. UK time, where we have a more expansive space to really chew into these matters. So I leave it here. Carry conversation on within the comment section, but here I say peace. Thank you, everyone.